What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You dead meat! Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find a little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast, an extension of the YouTube channel Dead Meat. I'm James.
I'm Chelsea, and we're engaged, and we like to get scared together. This week, a movie that a lot of people have emailed me about, asking if we would ever cover it, and one that I've been wanting to see.
For years.
Yes.
I've always heard it mentioned.
Yeah, this has been on my list. Talking, of course, about Lake Mungo.
Mungo Jerry.
Lake Mungo Jerry. Yeah, even when we got headshots taken, we needed headshots, like professional pictures of us. I remember the photographer asked if we'd seen it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, because this is from what, 2006?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, it came out, people saw it, liked it, but it didn't make a huge splash, no pun intended, until maybe a few years ago, some other...
Oh, 2008.
Oh, it's 2008. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, here we are talking about it in 2021. And I think it was a few years ago it started to have a kind of a renaissance because other horror YouTubers actually began talking about it. I can't say with certainty because honestly, I don't watch other horror YouTubers just to so I don't get influenced in my own opinions and making my own videos. But I believe it was Ryan Hollinger, maybe.
Okay.
Who I often hear good things spoken of.
Yeah.
So a couple of horror YouTubers polished it off and said this is a diamond in the rough that should have gotten more attention when it came out.
Listen, that's the best. Some of the best movies, like, for example, The Wicker Man, that's an example of one where it kind of came out and, the people who saw it really liked it, and word of mouth, now it's a classic, or a cult classic at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think Lake Mungo is probably a cult classic at this point.
Yes,
so
I would
many
agree.
People, yeah.
A lot of people, and I tweeted that I was watching this, and so many people replied, "This movie scared the shit out of me."
Yeah, it is.
It is
scary.
It scared. This scared me. This straight up scared me, and because we review these movies for a job, it's at this point. We've seen some shit. It can be a bit harder now. I'm still very jumpy, but it's hard for me to get scared, to get viscerally scared. And honestly, I think the thing that does it for me, and I wonder if this is just a product of my age, specifically when I was younger, these were starting to become a thing, is found footage.
Yeah. I've always said found footage
out of me.
is the scariest thing to me if it's done well.
There's a lot of bad found footage, obviously,
tons of
because it's so easy to make. Therefore, there's a lot of it that is bad. But you can apply that to, honestly, you think of media in general now, and the fact that people can just film stuff with their phones means you're gonna get a lot of stuff that sucks.
Yeah.
But found footage, when it's done well, scares me the most.
And I've always said I think it's just because of the immersive quality of the subgenre and the style, because you feel like you're watching a real thing. Even the parts of kind of found footage-esque style within other movies are often the scariest parts. I'm thinking of Annihilation, when they're watching the video of the thing in the pool or the video of him at the lighthouse at the end. That shit's terrifying because you can just picture yourself having come across a real tape and hit play, and then it's like you're watching a real thing.
Yeah, it reminds me of when the internet, back when we were in high school and even younger, the internet was just so different. And I feel like it was so much easier to just going link by link, clicking around, and you just end up in I feel like weird corners of the internet were so much easier to find. And there's something about that quality too.
Yeah, the low res. The stuff that makes it really hard to tell if it's fake or not.
Yeah.
Because nowadays everything's so high quality that you can usually tell when there's been some alterations, digital or otherwise. But if it's grainy 240p footage,
it's so easy to mask
with interlacing. Yeah, it's scary, man.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm thinking the last couple movies that I can say confidently I was scared during them are this and Host.
Oh, yeah. Now, the thing about Lake Mungo is it is not a found footage film in the style of Host or Paranormal Activity or Blair Witch, where it is ostensibly, an uncut just raw footage. It's more of a mockumentary style. If you want to put a fine point on it.
I think some people would even disagree that it's a found footage because it technically isn't, because it's a documentary.
Yeah, I would say if you had to pick one, it is definitely a documentary with found footage elements where they're like, we do have this tape, and so here's the footage that we're playing. Yeah. And granted, those are the scariest parts. I'm thinking of when she's like, they find the tape from her trip to Lake Mungo.
I mean, that's the scariest
that is
fucking
the
thing. That's the thing,
God.
too, is, I mean, that's the thing where, oh, God, I kept thinking about that part, and there were a couple times laying in bed the past couple nights where I would just start thinking about this movie, and I would think about that part. I had to be like, yeah, we're not doing this right now. We're going to not think about that.
Even just thinking of it now, it's real scary. We'll talk a little bit more about it later, probably.
I think the genius of this, and okay, so I'll say first of all, so the filmmaker, and this is the only thing he's done, which is such... It's like at the same time, it's sad, but also I love the mystique of that.
Yeah.
Because he also is just kind of radio silent. Like no one's really heard.
What's his name?
He's Joel Anderson.
Yeah, it's such a generic name too. You know, that could be anyone. And I think when I was doing a little bit of research here and just Googled Joel Anderson, like the suggested Google form was, what happened to Joel Anderson?
Mine suggested Joel Anderson missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
That's great for a horror movie.
I know. I love that shit. I do want to see...
He's Blair Witch in it.
Yeah, like I would love to see more from him, but at the same time, there's something really wonderful about a horror director where the fuck are they? It's just...
especially when the one movie they did is well regarded. It's got, like a 90-something% on Rotten Tomatoes?
Honestly, that might be. If I ever end up making something and it's really good and people love it, I might not make anything else after that. I might just we're one and done. I'm going to have my legacy that I've built for this one movie and enjoy that and just coast the rest of my life on this cool thing I did. Yeah, so this is a very low budget movie. It ended up being a documentary because I think Joel Anderson had an idea for a script and just couldn't get the funding for it. And so he said, fuck it, we're just going to make this a found footage mockumentary thing.
The thing is, though, that I don't think you can tell it's low budget.
No, it's shot very well.
It's shot so well and like a real documentary, like a real good documentary. It's not like, Behind the Mask, I know it's a comedy, so it's different. That's ostensibly a documentary, but not really style-wise. Like, there are a few shots where they just kind of ape the style, but really, it's just like a weakly constructed framing device for that film. This is made like he really wanted to make a good documentary. And it helps, like the shot selection that they use and the B-roll, and just it looks so good.
Yeah, there's like really cool time-lapse footage of the house at night, and you see the stars going by. And it's shot like I'm trying to think of something to compare it to, like a higher-end Travel Channel ghost show. Not one of those cheesy ghost hunter shows where it's edited to be kind of goofy, but one of the ones where it's kind of takes itself seriously. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think, like, not quite Ancient Aliens, but it has like a gloss to it. It's edited really well, and there's thought put into how it's shot and composed, and the coloring is weird too. I don't know, it just has such a specific look.
And I think that really helps put in contrast with the found footage that they do use and make it feel more real and feel more scary.
Yeah, that helps too. The contrast between how slick all these interviews are and the B-roll shots, and then you have these really gross looking photos and videos. And I honestly, I don't even want to go back and like pull.
You're gonna have
clips.
to edit this.
I don't want to. I genuinely don't want to. I don't know. There's something about the pictures in this because they show a bunch of photos, and I hate them. I hate looking at them. I couldn't look at them when they were on the screen. They creep me out so much. I really don't want to edit clips into this one. There's something about it because they're not even, I think, out of context. Yeah, they're creepy, but in context, they're such a nightmare. I guess we can get into the actual story of it.
Yeah, real quick before we do, I want to say that I think maybe it didn't make, again, using this pun, I guess, a bigger splash. I think the name is not good.
Lake Mungo.
Yeah, it makes me think of Lake Placid. Before we watched this movie, I was like,
this is crocodiles, right?
I was like, isn't there an alligator in here? And you were like, are you thinking of Lake Placid, a movie we already covered? I was like, oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, Lake Mungo makes me think of maybe a slasher or something.
Definitely, and it doesn't even have like a water-filled lake. Lake Mungo in this movie is like a dry
it's an ancient,
lake bed.
Yeah.
But even more confusing is the first thing you see is footage of people swimming in a dam.
Yeah.
That's not Lake Mungo.
It's not Lake Mungo.
It's a little confusing.
No.
But so I don't know what else they could have named it, but I feel like the name doesn't help it.
I get, because I think it does sound like kind of a slasher, but also I think Lake Mungo is such a like weird. I mean, I guess unless you're from Australia and you're familiar with it.
Oh, that's right. This is an Australian film.
Yeah.
We didn't mention that.
I don't know. I'm intrigued by it. So this movie, my first note, all I know is that this is scary. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything about it. I knew that I think I knew that the ending of it particularly was what people really loved and found terrifying. And because this is a slow burn.
It is.
movie.
And I'm sure that there are some people who have watched it and been like,
Very disappointed.
yes.
Yeah.
And we're like, what was the hype all about? I don't get it.
There
this
are
is bullshit.
Not any scare. Like there's not really any scares until the end. It builds up to one scare.
Kind of. There are scares earlier that are revealed to be fake scares, but in the moment they're scary.
They're not
the earlier on ones.
jumps though. They're not like
Oh no. It's all unsettling.
It's mood and atmosphere.
And I think it does a really good job, but if you aren't into that kind of thing, you're probably not going to like this movie. Like
Yeah.
it is a documentary. Like we said, it does a good job doing that style, which includes mostly just people talking to the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Australians and Australian accents. Our main characters are the Palmer family, and yes, if you're thinking of the Palmers from Twin Peaks, you're not wrong. I think that's pretty intentional. Our character Alice, who's the teen girl of the family, I forget if her brother is younger or older.
She's 16. He looks around that age, so they're
around
close
the same
in age.
Yeah. She, at the very beginning, it's revealed that she drowned in this dam that the family is on a picnic at.
In 2005.
And again, that's a similar, you think of Twin Peaks, Laura Palmer. First episode, we're finding her in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also just a kind of Twin Peaks, like, you know, the dirt lurking beneath the shiny gloss and veneer of a small town that seems happy on the surface.
Oh yeah, especially by the end. That's
Oh
the
yeah.
theme.
I mean that's essentially what the movie's about, really. Maybe a bit more specific, the idea of not even realizing your family has stuff that they're keeping from you.
Yeah, in the end, this is a movie. It's one of those movies that's about grief
Yeah.
throughout, and then the other theme that you were just talking about, just kind of like secrets.
And it's cool to watch a movie from 2008, because I think now at this point, if you tell me like, oh, there's this horror movie, it is about grief, I'm like, yeah, okay, because I feel like that we got like
Babadook.
The Babadook is amazing, and then I think a lot of movies
like Hereditary.
There's a lot
of
we had a good run of very good movies that deal with this, but at this point now I'm like, it's not anything surprising, because the Babadook, that felt new to me in that moment. It was, and
because
so
that was around 2014 maybe
ish. Yeah. So it's cool because now as someone who is watching this now after seeing a bunch of other movies where it's like, oh, this is about grief, it's like I have to remember, this would have been way before any of those other films were doing this kind of stuff. So this really is a bit ahead of its time, I think. All we know is Alice drowned in this dam, and we don't really get a ton of clarification on what happened. I don't think they really know what happened. She just kind of goes missing. And
actually, sitting here right now, I'm like, wait, how did she drown?
Exactly. There's and we'll talk about it later probably, there's a very good theory online that I think wraps up a lot of loose ends that I was thinking about after we watched this.
Okay.
Do you have any idea what it might be?
No, because it wasn't until this moment that I was like,
there's
oh, yeah,
a lot of questions that when you go back and think about this, like, wait a minute, we don't even know how she drowned, like what happened.
Yeah, because they're
she
like
get
1 minute she was
stuck,
there,
or
and then...
did she? Yeah, it's very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, you know, shortly after, they're like, they're looking for her. They have search parties and stuff. But
Yeah.
like a few minutes in that, they do have her body. They take her
They
body
find
out.
the body. The dad goes to identify it, and it's a fucking creepy looking dead body. It's just this waterlogged, nasty corpse. It's awful. And it's supposed to be because it makes a very not fun appearance later. But the mom refuses to look, and this ends up being for her a bad thing because she becomes convinced that Alice is still alive.
Yeah,
because she didn't see the body, even
There's
though
a different body, or
dad,
maybe
Stranger Things style,
maybe Stranger
or
Things
swapping them
style
out.
fake body. Who knows?
Yeah, I thought maybe that was what was going on at first, because it would have been before Stranger Things. I thought maybe, like, oh, that's interesting. The one detail I think is very weird around this part in retrospect, when you kind of think about the whole movie, after they identify the body and the whole family is at the dam, they end up having to drive home backwards because the car gets fucked up. There's something with the transmission.
It's
I
a
don't
weird
know.
visual, too.
It's a very creepy visual of this
At first,
car.
it seems like it's playing in reverse, and then you hear the voiceover explaining, oh, it was either that or walk, and we weren't about to walk.
It's so weird, right?
It's very weird.
It's a very creepy shot of this car just driving backwards at kind of like at twilight. It's very weird, and I just have a feeling that kind of alludes to what we end up getting into later, which is time is a little bit funky in this movie.
It is.
And it's never really explained why, which I enjoy quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I love that there is a supernatural element to this, and
There is.
love that we don't find out why at all. It's
Yeah,
just creepy.
I'm actually super curious to hear this theory that you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
because I enjoyed the movie. I did feel in the end that it kind of felt like it built up to a bunch of things and then revealed them, and then
didn't kind of bring them all together.
Yeah.
That's a pretty common critique people have of this, from what I can tell. I was reading people's reviews. I was reading Reddit threads about it, and that was from people who didn't like it. Their issue was there's a lot that gets piled on, and
they're
of
like
it
mysteries.
feels...
You find out the thing behind the mystery, and then it was like, so that was that. And you're like, wait, how does that why is that a thing?
Yeah. So about 10 days after they find the body, weird stuff starts happening around the house.
Yeah, 10 days after the funeral.
Or after the funeral, I'm sorry.
So they heard noises around.
And the mom's sister says that the house always felt... Is it the mom's sister, or is it...
I don't know. That's the other thing about this movie.
A lot of characters.
A lot of characters right off the bat before we know who's who. And then they don't bring up the lower thirds again, because you generally only do that the first time you show someone. And then I'm like, wait, who was that lady?
Yeah.
But like, you get enough of the main characters.
Yeah, at a certain
fine.
point, it doesn't matter.
But yeah.
There's a lady who's maybe the mom's sister, maybe her coworker. I don't fucking remember. But she says the house always kind of felt weird. And the mom starts having nightmares where Alice is standing at the end of her bed. And this is when I'm very upset. It's all these very long, lingering shots of the bedroom that are really creepily lit, and
They're like slow pans too, so you never know if it's gonna like reveal something.
I love and hate a good slow pan.
Even though within the style of the film, it's documentary B-roll, so you know logically it's not going to reveal anything, because these are the documentary filmmakers going back in the house and just getting this creepy B-roll.
Right.
But you're still like
you're on
anticipating
guard
it.
the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The dad has a nightmare too, where he sees Alice come in and yell at him to get out.
Get out of her room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the brother Matthew ends up there's bruises all over him.
Oh yeah,
that then disappear later. He's got bruises all over his kind of arms and like his torso, and those are unexplained. They just kind of disappear and they're never addressed again. So that's a weird thing. His friend says that Matthew's also acting weird, and then starts getting really into photography.
Yeah.
And he ends up getting a job at a photo studio, and Matthew just starts taking pictures of the backyard, as you do. I took a photography class in high school, and backyard, first place you're going to take pictures of stuff.
He was like, this is my personal project, take a picture of the backyard every day.
Yeah, it's just, the backyard is just where it is going to be probably the most stuff to take pretty pictures of.
Well, what the brother captures in these daily photographs of the backyard is, as you might expect, Alice.
It's Alice. Yeah, Alice is creeping in the backyard.
It's a creepy thing. She's a ghost in the backyard.
It looks like those pictures that, again, I think 'cause it just reminds me of early internet, those websites where it's like about ghosts and shit.
Yeah.
And my friends were super into, and I hated, where it's pictures of real ghosts and they all kind of look like
and
this.
there's like the separate frame on the left side of the screen where you can scroll up and down, and then you're scrolling in the main frame and it's like a black background with just some simple colored text and just photos every couple of paragraphs.
Web 1.0 is there's something so creepy about it.
I love it.
That will never be recaptured.
I
don't
know.
think. It was the Wild West. Yeah. This is when we meet a character named Bob
Smeet.
Bob Smeet.
The photographs were taken on the 3rd of April and they were developed on the 4th, and I looked at them, I think, on the 5th.
Bob Smeet is the funniest name I've ever heard in my life. It's like a Tim and Eric name, and I love it. And I want to name a character in something Bob Smeet also. I love Bob Smeet.
Oh, dude, you could do like an Arrested Development thing where Bob Smeet could start an app, a dating app for guys named Bob,
no,
and it's Bob Smeet's Bob Smeet.
Bob Smeet's Bob Smeet.
Bob Smeet's Bob Smeet.
Bob Smeet. It's swap meet. I love him. Yeah, he's a guy who, I don't know if he works at the dam or if he's just a guy who hangs out.
Wait, and then the app can have an event where when you come and meet, and instead of bobbing for apples, it's meat, and so it's the
Ew.
Bob Smeet's Bob Smeet meet Bob.
Meet Bob. Hey, our sponsor this week is HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh cuts out stressful meal planning and grocery store trips, which is very important right now. We should all still be trying to stay home, even though it's been forever. But yeah, you don't have to worry about going to the store. James and I just added some more meals even to our weekly plan because it's just so worth having the convenience of meals being picked out for us. And on top of that, it's so nice to not waste food. I can't count how many times that we've bought stuff from the grocery store that we think, yeah, we'll totally use this as ingredients later, and then it goes right into the trash, and that is not a good feeling. And yeah, I love that they have a ton of healthy recipes that get delivered too. And on top of that, they're fast. Usually it's kind of one or the other, but I love the fact that they are both fast and healthy. You don't have to sacrifice your time to get something good, and that's good for you. So if you want to try HelloFresh, go to hellofresh.com/10deadmeat and use code 10deadmeat for 10 free meals, including free shipping. Once again, that is hellofresh.com/10deadmeat and use the code 10deadmeat for 10 free meals, including free shipping. HelloFresh. Our other sponsor this week is Upstart. Hey, it's rough out there right now. I know finances are rough for a lot of people. And if you're in the place where you feel that taking out a loan would help you with your finances, Upstart is a very good place to do so. Not only will they give you a loan that's based on more than your credit score, which is huge, they will consolidate all of your payments into one monthly payment. So I know I get stressed out tracking multiple monthly payments that I have to make, and so it is helpful to have everything consolidated so that you don't miss one or forget. So if you feel like this is a service that would make sense for you in your specific situation right now, you can go to upstart.com/deadmeat to find out how Upstart can help you with your monthly payments. And once again, that's upstart.com/deadmeat. Use that URL to let them know that we sent you. And the mandatory disclaimer here, loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. One more time, that is upstart.com/deadmeat. What the fuck was I
Anyway, Bob
about?
Smeet.
Bob Smeet's a guy.
He's just a guy
He's a
who's taking
guy.
pictures in the woods, and there's like a figure in the background.
After he hears, because it makes like local news, I think, that the brother took these pictures and Alice is there, and so Bob Smeet's like, got photos of Alice in the background.
Yeah, Bob Smeet's pictures. So that's like, but that's not clearly Alice. It's
No,
not like
it's
Bigfooty
just
picture.
it's like Bigfoot. And it's funny because they interview another couple who was there on the same day, and they were like, oh, we have pictures too. And I think one of their pictures, it's Bob Smeet is in the background.
Yeah, figure in the background, which we identified as Bob Smeet.
Well, this is when the mom is like, oh, maybe that's actually Alice in Bob Smeet's photograph. And
She's alive and at the dam still.
And you messed up identifying the body. It wasn't her. It was too waterlogged. And so they excavate the body and do a DNA test. And this part of the movie is like, oh, is this movie going to take this turn? And then the DNA tests come back and it's like, no, that's
no,
Alice.
it's her. And this is also when June is the mom, seeks out this radio psychic named Ray.
Oh, man.
Ray's just this creepy, really dark presence this whole movie. Like, he's
Does
just...
he factor into the theory?
No.
No?
No.
I'm assuming the neighbor does. What the fuck is this theory? Is it Bob Smeet?
It's not Bob Smeet. No, Bob Smeet did nothing wrong.
Hashtag.
If you listen to the basics of a case, like a cold case, what's your gut
The boyfriend.
instinct? Not the boyfriend.
Well, then I'm out.
You're close.
Oh, it's the parents or the family? The brother?
The brother.
The brother.
Yep. Because that explains a lot of things, such as why does he have bruises all over him? Unless they're from some kind of struggle. And why he was like, they were out in the lake together. And he comes back to shore and is like, oh, where's my sister at?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's acting all weird. And there's a lot of found footage, like some of the found footage where it's like a weird, like, she almost seems pissed that he's filming her.
Yeah.
There's the footage where she's like, get out of my room, and is yelling at him, and he has kind of a weird fixation with her in these tapes.
Huh.
Yeah. We'll talk, I guess we can elaborate further on that, because there's things that come up later that I think add to this theory, and if I'm forgetting stuff, please elaborate in the comments below. And if you have your own theories, then I'd love to hear them. But I think it's a very solid one.
Well, yeah, when Ray wants to do a seance, the brother records it because he's starting to record stuff, right? Around the house.
This is the time of every found footage movie. We got this moment where one character decides we're gonna set up 24/7 cameras. It's like that time of the movie. We're setting up the cameras everywhere.
Yeah, it's because he first sets them up because there are more noises in the house, and he records a figure moving in the hallway.
Yeah.
He sees a figure moving, and that's a little scary, even though we saw something else.
Yeah, there's a... Okay, here's the thing. Well, I would suggest watching this not on a very large modern day TV. This was never meant to be seen blown up as big as we had it blown up.
Because we definitely noticed something that comes back later, and they
There's
point out
a-
later, and we were like, yeah, we saw that.
There's a reveal that I wish we hadn't seen, that a lot of people say is something that's genuinely really unsettled them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was so obvious, but also,
There's a person in this video footage that it's revealed later because it's a misdirect. You're looking at one side of the screen and there's a person there the whole time. It's like that like the gorilla like
the gorilla basketball
where there's a gorilla
one, yeah.
walking. It's like you're supposed to count how many times they pass the basketball, but there's a gorilla that walks through and you don't notice him.
I can't believe that it works.
It's
Like the
so
first time
weird.
I did it,
the
worked.
first time I did that, I felt deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it's
bizarre.
creepy. Yeah.
But no, yeah, we watched the footage back from the brother recording overnight, and it starts and there's nothing, and I'm like, what's that dude over
There's
there?
a guy over there, yeah.
And then a figure moves in the hallway, and they're like, we saw a figure moving in the hallway. And I was like,
there's
yeah, but
a
what
guy
about?
there. Yeah, there's a dude there for sure. Right, this part of the movie when we're getting all this video footage back, and because we're zooming in on parts of the video footage.
It's creepy. I love it.
This part of the movie is just zooming in on these like fucking shitty ass like JPEGs, and us just yelling no every time they zoom into another one, and I hate it. I could barely look at the screen.
Yeah, because in the video from the Seance, they see Alice in the background of the footage, like
standing
moving
there. Ugh, I something about even like there's no jump scares in this whole sequence. I guess when you're watching that, you don't know that that's going to be the case, but I couldn't even look at them zooming in on these really blurry faces. And there's something I find deeply upsetting about the low quality, low res, creepy ghost faces. I truly did not even see half of this movie. And I don't know if I even want to go and edit.
You're going to have to.
I don't want to look at it.
That's the job we signed up for.
I don't want to look at it again. Oh, man.
Yeah, so they look at some other footage he's recorded because now they've set up 3 permanent time-lapse cameras, of course. And yeah, they keep seeing Alice in the background in reflections and stuff. But then we get the Withers video. And that's the video from the other people who were there that saw Bob Smeet.
Bob Smeet?
But also, who's this in the background? Matthew.
It's the brother.
Brother Matthew just walking around like Bigfoot. Dressed. Is he dressed in
her clothes?
Yeah.
So this is like a big reveal of, Matthew was in the Bob Smeet video. And also he reveals, I faked the photograph in the backyard, like superimposed a picture
he's
of
faked
her.
all of the footage and
all the
photos.
footage. He is playing footage he had of Alice on TVs and then reflecting those in other objects in the background of the found footage that we're watching.
Yeah.
And so at this point, those moments scared me when they happened, but now it's revealed that they're not real.
But they're not really. It takes all the air out of, which I think is great. It's such a good fucking misdirect. The fact that halfway through you get this reveal that the brother made all of this supernatural footage, like it's all fake. Literally everything you'd seen up to this point is fake, except the bruises that they don't explain, and why I think that the brother having killed her is such a good theory.
Yeah, and the fact that he was doing all this feeds into that theory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like he's walking around where she disappeared in her clothes. What the fuck? Which I get is to fake a picture, but also what the fuck?
I think doesn't he say that he wanted to give his mom hope?
Yeah, his excuse is that he did it to give his mom a sense of hope that Alice is still there with them.
In some sense, yeah. Like, her
but
spirit
obviously,
lives on.
after this gets revealed, it just makes it worse for her. This poor mom. Yeah, who is not doing well with all of this, by the way. It's funny. At first, I thought the dad was shady, but I don't.
No, the dad just wants to.
The dad just wants to like
not dwell on it, not in like a cynical way, but
stiff
just like
upper lip, kind of.
Yeah, he throws himself into his work. And like, if anything tragic happened to me, that's probably what I would do.
I mean,
is just disappear into work.
I definitely I've lost people. I lost, last year I lost a really good friend of mine, like one of my best friends from school, like high school and stuff, passed away. And I just remember getting over that by, distracting myself with stuff. Like we played a ton of Don't Starve, and that, I had to be doing
You
stuff.
have to just do something, or else you're just going to sit there and dwell on it.
Yeah.
And you got like, at least, it's not universal, but I imagine my strategy would be distract myself until enough time has passed where like you can at least cope or come to terms with it.
One of my favorite, have you ever heard and this is a bit of a tangent, but I think, why not talk about it? Because I think it's a very cool analogy, and actually was very helpful for me when I was dealing with a certain amount of grief, is the analogy of the ball in the box for grief. Basically it's the idea that so imagine your brain is just like it's a box, and there's a button on it, and when it gets pushed, that's the button that it triggers grief, overwhelming grief. Like crying, it catches you off guard, and that's like, it's the only thing you can think about. And when something like, this happens, there's a ball in the box that's bouncing around. And when you first, when something first happens where you lose someone, or the ball in the box is huge and it constantly is hitting the button like nonstop because it's so big. But over time, the ball shrinks. And it's not that the button doesn't exist. It still does, like it's always going to be there, but the ball can bounce around in there and you can think about it and not be totally bowled over by it. Like I can talk about my friend on this podcast and not immediately start crying. That feeling is still there. And every once in a while, the ball will bounce around and hit the button, and I get, knocked over by it. I get like the wind knocked out of me when I think about it. But anyway, I'm just saying, as someone who's gone through, like losing someone who was really important to me, you'll be able to talk about it and do stuff and live your life and, be just as carefree as Bob Smeet.
Fingers crossed.
Anyway.
They start to review all the footage that the brother took, and that's when they're like, oh, wait, who's this guy over here that James and Chelsea noticed the first time?
James and Chelsea noticed because we were watching it on our dumbass giant TV. There's so many movies we've watched on this TV where we yell, it wasn't supposed to be like this. Like, particularly
like our
older
big TVs.
movies. Oh my God, one that like just ruined my day is we were watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure on the new big TV, and the end of that movie, he does a big jump off like a ramp, and he goes over the fence of the Warner Brothers lot.
Composited.
There, you can see the composite. If you watch it blown up that big, you can see the composite of the bike going across the screen. Like it's clearly just comped in. I'd never seen that before until watching it on that TV. And it just, like, obviously it's not real, but seeing the pieces of it was really upsetting. And it was just, again, we weren't supposed to see this. So yeah, anyway, so there's a guy in there and it ends up being their neighbor,
Brett
Toohey.
Brett Toohey.
Yeah. So
Brett Toohey, that's a fun name. Maybe he's a fun guy.
He's not a fun guy.
God damn it.
Yeah, so now we're on this. There's so much going on like at the halfway point of this movie, because we find out all that stuff's fake. And then we also find out there's a guy there.
And we're like, oh, maybe it's another ghost, like an angry ghost or something.
Or the brother.
Yeah, but the mom is like, nope, that's our neighbor.
Hey, that's our neighbor that is creeping through her room.
Through her room because apparently he was looking for a tape that they then discovered.
There's so much that's revealed right here.
It turned out Alice was holding on to a tape.
Yeah, she had a safe in her room. And the mom's able to find it because that's like where he was kind of like messing around in the video. And there's a safe with this videotape in it that is a sex tape of Alice with the Tooheys.
Yeah, this is the other thing. So it's with Brett Toohey and I'm assuming his wife.
Yeah.
The wife never gets named, I don't think. I think they should have made it clearer what was going on. Because at first it's like you see a woman in bed and then it's Alice and then Brett and his wife climb in. But I feel like in the interviews, they just keep talking about either Brett Toohey or the Tooheys. Like, just say once, Brett and his wife blank, so I can know that is it.
I think they mentioned that she babysat for Brett and his wife, and I'm not sure. I never was.
It just felt like it was weird to me. It was almost like they were sidestepping the presence of his wife there as well, which is was weird to me because it's like that makes it even more salacious than if it were just Brett.
That's a bit more unique. Like,
definitely.
It's
not just Brett, the neighbor grown up who is having an affair with your teenage daughter. No, it's him and his wife.
Yeah.
Having it's weird.
It is. Yeah, you're right. That is more salacious for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as much as she's 16. I don't know the age of consent in Australia, but it's like
in any case,
that's statutory rape. I mean, or it's
not if It depends.
Right,
on the
but
age
I'm
of consent.
saying
it's
that's
weird.
a 16-year-old. It's
Yeah,
fucking weird.
yeah.
But
And also from the parents' perspective.
right, and I wanted to say that because I then wanted to say it is consensual.
Yes.
That's this isn't like, you know,
I mean, it's as consensual.
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
That's what I wanted to say. It's like it's
exactly.
consensual in terms of like she
Agreed to
yeah,
do it.
but because of
with
her age,
with her undeveloped brain, she agreed
yes,
to do this.
Exactly, exactly. I just wanted to make that very clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it seems that she is ashamed of it, and at some point got the tape back from the neighbors, and the parents are that's almost kind of a weird loose end too, because the documentary filmmaker's like, well, why did she get the tape? And he goes, and the dad's like, I guess she decided she couldn't trust them anymore.
Yeah.
And
like, why would they give her the tape?
it's so weird, and that makes
Which
me
is
wonder,
easy to
like,
blackmail? I
is
don't know.
this also something with the brother somehow? But I don't know how that would factor in.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And then
of,
we learned that there's a tape with Alice having consulted with Ray the psychic.
Yes. Okay.
Like
so
he's known Alice this whole
Ray,
time.
yeah, like Ray the psychic is around this entire time. Like they have this seance, and the mom really takes a liking to him. And then we find out Ray this whole time knew Alice in life, and it was a kind of, which I get, he's in a tough spot.
I like that he
it's-
explains that it was like damned if you do or don't, because he was trying to respect Alice's privacy by not saying anything. But then it's weird that you're going on a road trip with the brother who's filming stuff.
Like what? Yeah, Ray goes on a road trip with the brother, and
But you never mention once, like, I know this daughter. I met her.
yeah,
weird.
I sympathize with him though, because if that's like my job and I'm a professional psychic.
Well, maybe you turn down when June comes and asks for help with her dead daughter. Maybe knowing that you knew the dead daughter and don't want to say that you knew her. Maybe just turn that one down.
Just say,
then.
oh, I'm booked.
Yeah,
I'm so booked.
like I can't take this one on. Sorry,
Yeah.
lady.
For sure. And yeah, because they find Ray's business card was taped inside of Alice's diary. That's how they figure out that Alice knew her.
Got it. And isn't it taped to a day that she went to Lake Mungo with the class
It's
trip?
like around, I forget if
Because
it's
that's why they're like, oh, that's what makes them realize, oh, she went on this class trip to Lake Mungo in 2005, and when she came back, she didn't have her phone that we had just got her.
Yeah, and after she comes back, like and this is in the tapes, there's like tapes
I'm
of
already getting the
Ray
chills.
with Alice, and Alice is saying like there's, that she feels like something's wrong with her and something's not right, and she says at one point, and this isn't a dream of hers, I think this like actually happened, she wakes up and she specifically says she feels drugged, and she gets up and she stands at the end of her parents' bed scared, and she realizes something's wrong with her and that her parents can't do anything about it.
Yeah, so this
And I think
harkens back to...
I think this is after the Lake Mungo incident, but also people use this to support the brother theory, because why is she waking up feeling like she's been drugged, and why is she feeling like I have to go tell my parents something and then she can't?
And this is also the same nightmare that the mom
has, right? Exactly. And that's
after the passing.
We start getting you start kind of putting together the weird overlaps of time, because that's also, by this point, you've seen the videotape that the brother took of Alice yelling at him, "Get out of my room," and that's the same dream that the dad describes earlier. So there's a weird kind of like overlapping.
Yeah, like is Alice transmitting that image, especially with this theory of like, oh, this was a disturbance from the brother, so like, here, dad, this is me. Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly, like her trying to tell them that. That's why I really like the brother theory, because all of this, if you read it this way, could point to Alice trying to get them to like put it all together and tell them that the brother was doing something to her.
The brother
who killed her.
By the way, is a time capsule of 2005.
Holy shit.
He looks just like...
I forget if he at any point has the t-shirt with the long white sleeve shirt under it, but so what he would be rocking.
Like his hairstyle and everything
for
was
sure.
such in a time capsule.
But I love, because the big takeaway of this movie is ultimately, like specifically with the mom, because the mom talks about how growing up, like she and her mom had trouble communicating, and her mom wasn't very emotionally open with her, and in turn that affected her ability to be emotionally open with Alice. And so there's this like block between any direct communication, you know, there's just a wall there. And she, you know, especially finding out about this stuff with the Tuohys, and she just like realizes she never really knew her daughter, which is really, it's sad. Like it is genuinely, I think this movie is also very moving, and I think that's what makes it as a found footage really successful, and what makes, I think, a lot of these found footage movies that I ultimately love successful is they don't forget that they also are still a movie, and you need something to care about and something to kind of grab onto.
Yeah, and their relationship is really kind of the takeaway, because the last thing in this movie is we see the video of Alice with Ray, and we watch June, the mom's last consultation with Ray, and in both of them, he has them close their eyes and do like a mental walkthrough of the house.
Yeah, kind of a guided meditation.
And you see that like it's again with the time overlapping weird stuff, but like they're having the same experience.
Yeah. Even
though it's recorded a lot different, and they're by themselves as they do this, and it's like an experience where the mom walks through the house and like almost goes into her daughter's room but doesn't. There's like this blockage between
there
them.
is and she comes to the conclusion that Alice is not there. She specifically says Alice isn't here.
Yes.
And that's the end. But in the same thing that Alice is doing the walk, it's the same like event that they're kind of mentally walking through. Alice is there and sees her mom and is like, my mom can't see me. She doesn't know that I'm here.
Yeah.
And so the end of the movie, even though the family comes to the conclusion that, she's been able to move on because, hey, we figured out this thing that happened, and we'll get back to what the big thing is, ultimately, that like fucking made her realize that she was gonna die, that Alice is gonna die. Okay, we figured out, what she wanted to tell us.
The tape with the Tuohys and
the tape, we figured it out. She's been able to move on.
She's at rest. They move out of the house.
But she isn't, because the last shot is it's Alice in the window, which again points to the theory that the brother maybe did it.
And did the brother just get away with it and was like, oh, she's at rest, we can move away and be good and move away from the spirit that
I
still
really
there.
like that theory.
It's great, and it adds a lot to the movie, that it makes it more rewarding, even though maybe you have to dig to learn about it. Like the movie doesn't feed you all that.
No, not at all.
ending.
I don't even think I would have come to that conclusion on my own.
But knowing it makes the movie that much more rewarding.
It's very interesting. I have no idea if that is the intended purpose of it, but I love the idea that there is a bigger mystery here, and if you look for it, the answer's there. And Alice was showing you the answer this whole time, but you're not going to be spoon-fed it, because the family in the movie doesn't figure it out at all. They don't even come close.
So it's kind of like a tragic ending of like...
Because they think that they still think, okay, now we know our daughter and we can move on, but they never did. Mm-hmm. It's really sad. It's very, very sad. Yeah.
That's good shit.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing we haven't talked about is...
Lake Mungo.
Lake Mungo, because like I said, they find out like, oh, she went on this class trip. She came back without her phone. Let's go to Lake Mungo and see if we can find anything. Oh, because in the background of... they do see in the background of another classmate's video, they see Alice digging or burying something in the background.
Yeah, that's right. They find, one of her friends is like, oh yeah, I remembered I had these videos I took at Lake Mungo on this class trip.
Like Alice was acting weird.
She's acting really,
but what's this in the background? She's like burying something.
She's like furiously digging at the base of this tree. And, the rest of the footage, everyone seems happy and she seems really out of it. And so, all right, something clearly happened at Lake Mungo. Again, she came home without all of her stuff.
Mm-hmm. So they go there and they find where that tree is. They match the tree from the classmates' footage and they dig.
And I love the logic of, well, we didn't want to get in trouble with the police because we would be digging on, which makes sense. It's like a national park. I mean, it's like an ancient, I was reading about Lake Mungo. Like
is it real?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be creepy to go there?
Okay, now I see what you're saying with the name. It'd be like if it were like Crater Lake or something that we recognize.
Lake Mungo. It's a dry lake. It is, I think the thing about it is that it is, yes, it has the one of the longest continual records of Aboriginal life in Australia. It's just
wow.
very old.
Okay.
Very, very old.
Yeah, can't go around digging there.
Exactly, right. So that the reason I brought that up is that, okay, yeah, it makes sense that they don't want to get caught during the day just digging in this fucking...
Helps make it spooky.
So they wait at night. Yeah, and also because it's scary. We know the real reason. It's because it's scarier. So yeah, they go to Lake Mungo and they find the tree where she was... where she buried a bunch of stuff, and they dig it up, and yeah, it's her phone and it's like a bracelet. It's like
just stuff to identify
personal
her.
items, and they figured, oh, she must have buried this here because it's like it was like a I think they later say it was some kind of
like ritual
thing, like ceremonial, like moving on kind of. I don't know, but
they watch a video that was recorded on the phone from that trip.
This is the scariest shit ever. I hate it. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and it's so effective. And again, it's why when found footage is good, I fucking love it because it is so simple, and it just goes to show that you don't need a lot to make something scary.
This footage is just walking through the dark.
Yeah.
Walking through the dark in this park.
We're talking 2008 cell phone video.
Yeah.
And
2005.
That's right. It's 2005. So it looks like absolute dog shit, which makes it scary.
Yeah, it's just dark except for like this white
kind of blobby thing
that you're walking towards.
We're walking towards
and it's getting slowly bigger.
And the dad is narrating this whole time.
He's like narrating.
He's narrating I know, dude. I hate it, and he keeps walking. Yeah, and as you get closer, you're like, oh fuck, it's definitely a person.
It's definitely a person.
And you realize it's Alice.
It gets close enough, and it's her fucking...
It's her corpse.
It's her drowned face,
It's her
dude.
walking...
I'm gonna throw up.
It's her walking drowned corpse from the dam that the dad instantly recognizes because he looked at her body.
Oh, God. It's awful.
It's so awful. I hate it. I hate it. And... it pauses. It is kind of funny because it literally does yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got, it literally does that because it pauses and the dad is like, and then she saw herself. Like that's what made her realize she was going to die at some point because the ghost of her drowned corpse walked up to her and like just in a weird moment of time overlapping on itself and just this fucking scary ass omen. That's like the scariest thing you could run into ever.
Yeah.
Is the idea of a doppelganger is scary.
Uh-huh.
But the idea of it's your doppelganger, but it's how you die.
Yeah.
Is fucked up.
Oh, it's fucked up.
It's
man.
so scary.
It's so
I know.
scary.
And so it does this freeze frame because the dad explains, he talks a little bit, and then when it resumes playing, it's a big jump, a giant jump scare.
Yeah.
I shit myself all over, everywhere. I think you went like, Jesus Christ. Fucking scary, dude. What even happened because I looked away. Does it like, does it like lunge at her, or is it Alice like screaming? Like, what is the actual
I don't know,
noise?
man. I blocked that part out of my memory already.
Because I don't think the other Alice I think it's just her reacting to it maybe. Mm-hmm. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yuck. But yeah, so they realize that that's why she had to live with this knowing that was gonna come for her soon, and it's fucked up. I don't even know what else to say. It's scary.
Yeah, and the rest of the movie we talked about. The credits do show all in the backyard pictures.
This is such like the cherry on top that also I felt so deeply uncomfortable. Yeah, this is after after we get the big scare, they have the mom do her guided meditation with Ray where she doesn't see her daughter and just assumes that her daughter's ghost has moved on. She hasn't, and that's when the movie plays back. I think this is over the credits also. It plays back the photos that the brother faked, but you notice that in other parts of because it's the visual misdirect, Alice is there the whole time.
Yeah.
He didn't even have to Photoshop her in. He just didn't notice her. No one did.
Yeah.
Which is again part of the tragedy of the movie is her trying to make something known and no one actually seeing her. where the brother is showing his parents this fake version of her. Again, adding, I think, some evidence to the fact that maybe he did it because he's inventing this false, even in her afterlife, inventing this false version of her. But yeah, there's this, she's like kind of, even in the video, like that there isn't even anything, like there's I think a video of a birthday. I think it's the brother's birthday. And this is after but it's not even like one of the videos where they're like, oh, we saw something scary.
Yeah.
It's just really quick. They slow it down and she's there. And if you blink and you miss it kind of stuff. I think there was like one or two where I did see something weird. But it's so cool. I'm sure if you go back and look, she is there in the first time you see the photos. Sure, yeah. I think it would be kind of shitty if she, cheap if credits, but no, it's very cool that she's in them twice and you would have no idea unless you were really looking. It's really creepy.
Yeah, it's great. It's very scary.
Yes, it is. I was really, really scared by this movie. We watched it in the middle of the fucking day too.
We did draw all the curtains. It was a dark room, but still, I think you're more receptive to being scared just when it's late, just time of day. And yeah, we did it in the afternoon and we're still super scared.
Yeah, and there's like, I know I'm talking about it, I'm freaking myself out. And then the credits are rolling and then you left the room to go do something else. And I couldn't, because it was a new, and I couldn't figure out immediately how to turn the movie off. And I was like, why did you leave me there? I didn't even watch all the apparently there is, so there's the photos and the credits. And then I turned it off after you have like the credits that start rolling. That's usually when I'm like, okay, we're done with the bonus features and the credits. But apparently I think at the end, there's a photo of like, people theorize it's the reverse of the scary scene.
What do you mean? Of
from
like
the
her
POV
coming?
of the yes.
I'm gonna go look that up.
And it's not a grainy. It's like a really actually kind of really beautiful. Like it's like her kind of silhouetted in the landscape of Lake Mungo. It's really cool.
I'm definitely gonna go look at
the theory people have that it's the reverse of that incident is so scary.
Yeah,
and that's the last thing at the end of the credits. I think too what's so great and maybe why found footage scares me so much and why I'm freaking myself out even thinking about just the cell phone video is the fact that it's always or usually so low res. Your brain gets to fill in so much detail, whereas something you see, you don't get that. And it can still be scary. There's plenty of movies where, like, I'm thinking, like, okay, Hereditary is, like, very beautifully shot, and it's the visuals in it are scary, and they scared me. But, I think just the grainy, low-res quality of a found footage anything is like the visual detail your brain has to fill in so much that I think it makes you it at least gives me way more anxiety, at least because you can just go a little crazy thinking about it. I have a kind of silly idea for next week. I'm gonna pitch it and we'll see if I can even make this work, but I had this idea and thought it would be really fun. I kind of want to read you reviews of horror movies from parents' guides, specifically like Christian websites. And the reason I say Christian websites is not even to make fun of like the fact that it's like a Christian reviewer. It's that when you have like a parent's guide that is explicitly a Christian parent's guide, the things that they will mark down as being offensive or
questionable,
are things that when you watch a movie you would not, that you don't even remember that's a thing.
Okay.
And I think there were a couple of movies I looked at some Christian reviews or Christian guides of that out of context. You like it's so hard, like there's things in there that I'm like I don't even remember this happening.
That is very exciting.
Do you want to try and do that?
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find enough that are funny enough to do.
Okay.
But I think it's just so interesting also to peek into what like
'cause I bet there's stuff like making out that like
taking God's name in vain.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be recognition.
Just stuff that like washes over me. Like I don't.
It'll
won't
be like
register.
like lines that are so unimportant in the context of the movie, but in this person's mind watching it, is like, oh man,
something
a
to know.
standout.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's why it's so. Again, it's not to make fun of anyone. It's just the idea. It's like a peek into someone else's thought process who has a totally different like value set and like what is like offended by very different things than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Well, you heard it. That's the next episode. In the meantime, you can follow Dead Meat on social media at Dead Meat James on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm at Carebeck, Carebecc, on Twitter and Instagram. The Dead Meat store's closed still. We're working on it.
Yeah. Email deadmeatpod. There's so many fucking email addresses. Deadmeatpod@gmail.com for pod stuff. And until next week, I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
This has been the Dead Meat Podcast.